Hello everyone, and let's talk about why there are so many open world games out there. It seems to be a trend that we're seeing, at least in the last few years, that every other game being released, at least in 2015 and 2016, seems to be an open world game. We're seeing this with games like The Division, of course, is coming up. That's going to be a big open world. Another open world Ubisoft game, as if we didn't have enough open world Ubisoft games that all start to feel the same. Assassin's Creed, you've got the historical one, Assassin's Creed. You got the hacking one, which is Watch Dogs. You got the one with the cars, is The Crew. What else have we got from Ubisoft? You got the one in the jungle or whatever, or the mountains, whatever, Far Cry. We got the one with the caveman, which is Far Cry Primal. You know, it just seems like we're getting so many of the same sort of open world games. This is not a video aimed at Ubisoft games in general. We're talking about the trend is moving towards open world games. Now, why is this a thing? Now, back in the sort of early days of when games started to go 3D, there was a lot of limitations on the sizes of worlds that developers could create. They could create very small areas and worlds, but there was a very, very, very limited, and of course this all changed when we moved to the PlayStation 2 kind of era, where we had games like GTA 3. GTA 3 was like the first sort of big, sort of living, breathing 3D world. It kind of set the template for a lot of open world games as we know them today. You know, certainly there were other open world games around at the time, but GTA 3 was the game that really set the benchmark, and we've seen a lot of imitators for that type of game come and go. We have, of course, seen the open world genre move into everything from RPGs. We've got The Witcher 3 as open world. It is a very good open world in The Witcher 3. But why is this? Part of the reason is technology. Again, we've got, we might deride the current gen consoles for not being powerful enough, but they do have the power to render these worlds, render these big open worlds with an amazing amount of detail. I mean, The Witcher 3 runs on PS4, Xbox One. It doesn't look as good or run as well as on the PC, but the fact that it runs is pretty impressive as well. You get around 30 FPS, it dips into the 20s obviously, but you get these things. All open world games have frame rate dips. It's because assets have to stream in real time generally, because there's no loading screens in open world, or very few loading screens when you're out in the open world. So why is this? It is, again, technology is a reason for that. Another reason is that the design can be fairly easy to design. I mean, once you've done, you don't have to design unique levels or have levels have a theme or things like that. You can just design a big open area. We've seen this in a few of these open world games where I just don't like the level design. Some games are very well designed. Again, like GTA 5, The Witcher 3 as well are the two that we're going to point to as the sort of best ones in this video. They tend to be the best ones that I find anyway. But yeah, I mean, those games, they tend to get their level design, but a lot of developers just make an open world just because, or they have big empty areas in open worlds. I mean, games like Fallout, you can kind of get it why it does that, because it's a post-apocalyptic world, I guess. But GTA 5 does, I think, the best job of its world. Certainly, if you just play GTA 5, sometimes it's worth playing just to wander around and hear, you see people going around, doing things, they go about walking their dogs and things like that, and you hear the pedestrians on the phone to people, and you hear people having conversations. I like that. It makes the world feel alive. Elder Scrolls as well. Elder Scrolls does this as well. So does The Witcher 3. They're excellent at doing these kinds of things, but you get like Ubisoft games, again, they just feel kind of dead to me. Like, the NPCs don't do anything. I mean, they react if you kill someone in Assassin's Creed, but other than that, they don't really do anything. You don't see them having conversations. You see the odd sort of random encounter, but I don't know, the way you just feels like you're in a world, and I don't like the way Assassin's Creed reinforces that with the Animus thing. I think Assassin's Creed would be a much more immersive experience if they took the whole memories type thing, what people do, the Animus type thing. If they took that out of Assassin's Creed, it'd be so much better. I think it'd be so much better. Nothing pulls you out of a world more than being reminded, hey, You're only looking at someone who's playing a game, essentially. And it's kind of weird. You're a dude playing a dude who's playing a dude in the game. It's kind of a weird sort of thing, really. But yeah, it's like at the end. Have you ever played the Simpsons game? It's like at the end of that where Ralph Wiggum, it turns out, is controlling you. That's a big spoiler, should point out. But that was another kind of open world game as well. See, every genre has its open world games. But yeah, I mean, the thing I don't like is a lack of. Sometimes there's just so much to do that it's difficult to sort of tell a decent and cohesive story. And I like my stories. I think GTA 5 does a good job with its story. Witcher 3 does an excellent job with the story, and every single side quest in The Witcher 3 has at least some story to it, and some of them are really good. Some of them are really damn good, and they're really immersive, and there's really some interesting choices to be made in The Witcher 3, certainly. I thought it was one of the best games of last year, Witcher 3. I played GTA 5, I just finished recently. I haven't finished Witcher 3 yet. I need to get on that, I need to get finished that. But I love the sort of side quests. You're just out wandering. Skyrim as well had that. Elder Scrolls games certainly have that. Fallout to an extent has that as well. You just go out, wander off in a direction, and you find some cool stuff to do. That's the best bits of open world games. The worst ones come when they give you a world with just go here, next quest, go here, next quest, and it's like, yeah, I'm not really exploring the world. It's not very interesting. I think Watch Dogs really missed an opportunity with that, with all the hacking that you could do. I think it was a real missed chance. This sounds like me shitting on Ubisoft, but it's not really. There are other examples we could use. Just Ubisoft games are the most sort of recognizable games that commit these kind of sins that I like to see in open world games. Just Cause 3 is another one. The problem I have with Just Cause 3 is that in order to unlock sort of a story mission, you have to sort of liberate the area, and it's fun to begin with. It's kind of fun to go around blowing shit up, but after a while it gets a bit samey. The police stations all look the same. There's like this sort of satellite type arrays that they all look the same. They're all the exact same model, they're all the exact same layout, and it kind of gets a little bit kind of grating a little bit. It's like, oh, I gotta blow up certain amounts of things, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, and it's fun at the beginning. It's fun, it's really good. It's like, oh shit, there's so many ways to destroy things, but then you get to a stage, and then of course to get upgrades in Just Cause, you have to leave the story and do the side quests, which are just like stunt challenges or rocket launcher challenges, which are again fun in their own right, but I don't want to feel like I have to do a bunch of side quests. Far Cry was the other game that does it. You see, we're back to Ubisoft again. Again, if you wanted like the weapon upgrade, you had to go hunting. If you wanted like to have more than 2 weapons, you had to hunt down animals. It just pulled me out of the story, and it meant that if I wanted to do this story quest, it recommended I was this level. That kind of thing I didn't like about open world games. That's the kind of things. But the games that do it well, GTA 5 we say, which is probably the best in terms of things to do. GTA Online is excellent as well. GTA 5 is probably the king of the open world games. It's always been the king. It was the innovator. It continues to be. And I'm not saying that because it's made in Scotland as well. I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying that for that. I think The Witcher did a fantastic job, because bear in mind, the first 2 Witcher games, The Witcher 2 was kind of semi-open world. You went to a sort of open area, which was kind of small, and each sort of was acting like a town or quest hub, you could argue, and then you did that part of the story, and then you moved on to another area. Same with Dragon Age. Dragon Age Origins was very much the same. Dragon Age Inquisition was a game that I felt like the world was just too empty. There was not enough in it. There just wasn't enough in it, and it was just big for the sake of, let's make a big world. But what are we going to fill it with? I mean, it was quite diverse, I thought. There was quite a lot of sort of different areas and things like that. But again, another game I never finished, Dragon Age Inquisition. I found the questing to be a bit too grindy. It felt like an MMO. And that's another thing, is the future of open world game. What is the future? Is the Division, the upcoming Division, is that indicative of the future? Is it going to be MMO based? Certainly we're seeing a lot of that move. I mean, even Elder Scrolls has moved to an MMO. You've got Elder Scrolls Online. I mean, MMOs generally are big open worlds, and they are empty generally. If you look at sort of World of Warcraft or something like that, it's a big, huge world, and it'll take you a long time to fly from one end of it to the other. But it is kind of empty, you know. Most of the things that you see in it are things that are generated by players, and players tend to stick to major kind of hub areas or their garrisons in Warlords of Draenor, which kind of, yeah, most people stick into their garrisons. But you see the capital cities, places like Stormwind and Orgrimmar, they're the kind of places that people hung out. And this is a big, huge open world. Of course, they link the chat to all the different capital cities as well, which does help, and they link it to the garrison. But I feel like I've yet to see an MMO that has like a huge where I can go anywhere and, you know, you could find other players. You find a lot of areas, especially sort of mid-leveling areas in MMO. I think that is a problem with MMOs. They're not truly open world, really, because you can't just go in one direction. It's not like Elder Scrolls. It's not like Skyrim, where you can just pick a direction, walk off in it, and find some quests and find a town, and you might find a whole other little story. Whereas in MMO, you're gonna get to a point. You know, World of Warcraft, you wander out of the starter zone. If you're under level 10, you're gonna get hit by like a level 12 enemy or something like that. It's gonna one-shot you. You know, I think that is a problem with a lot of MMOs. They are linear. Not that linear is bad. I mean, it seems to be the thing that linear is bad, but I think that they have to be careful in the Division. They seem to have areas that are gated by level. I see that in the beta. So hopefully you can get like a huge big area. You are in New York, which is a big city. You know, they've got plenty of opportunities for growth, and especially in the underground as well. There's a whole underground areas as well that you can go to in New York. I thought Destiny, that was the problem with Destiny, was it felt too cramped. Destiny, it just felt tons of small areas. You had like the hub area as well, where people hung out, and there was no real sense of grandeur that was missing in Destiny. So hopefully the Division gets that right. It's kind of a Division is the next big sort of open world game. Then you've got Far Cry Primal as well, which looks interesting. Basically Far Cry as a caveman, which without guns, which could be interesting to see Far Cry without guns. I always thought one of the biggest appeals though of Far Cry was the guns, so it will be interesting development to see what happens. And it'd be good to see when GTA 6 comes out, or the next GTA game, where they can take the open world genre, particularly in this generation, this current generation. Would be interesting to see that. GTA 5 is a great benchmark for them. It's a very difficult benchmark to improve on, but I'm interested to see. Rockstar, very good at doing these open worlds, certainly. But anyway, that is all for this video, so thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon, and goodbye.